Welcome back, students. I am your geography teacher Vandana Joshi and you are watching SST June. Students, just now you have seen a short video clip on biodiversity and conservation. In our previous video, we have studied about the biodiversity. What is biodiversity? What are the types of biodiversity and what is the role of biodiversity? Today we will study how the biodiversity is going to be loose and how we can prevent it. So in our today's topic, we will study the loss of biodiversity and the conservation of biodiversity. In earlier time, when the human growth was in the developing stage, the biodiversity in the nature was in its peak. Different type of species of flora and faunas were there, due to which there was a kind of lots of diversity in the world. Students, if we see nowadays, there are lots of species which are either rare or endangered or going to be extinct. So what is the loss of biodiversity and how it's happened? Let's see. Loss of biodiversity. Since the last few decades, growth in human population has increased. So after increasing of the human growth, the forests are going to be cutted, and due to which the different species of the plants and the species of animal is about to finish. The rate of consumption of natural resources is also increased, due to which a lots of extraction of the land and the natural resources is there, and due to which the species are now in about to the line of finish. So what is the reason behind it? The reason behind it, the greed of human, the extraction of the resources, and the lot of killing of animal is the reason of the loss of biodiversity. It has cleared the loss of species and habitation in different part of the world, due to which now we can see a lots of calamities are there, lots of the changes in the human environment, which was earlier very good, due to which many diseases are also increasing in our environment, and that is just loss of biodiversity. Even we are polluting our environment, that is a reason behind the loss of biodiversity. Due to the pollution in environment, now many species are finished and few are about to finish. So students, now let's see one more short video clip through which we become to know what is the loss of biodiversity and what are the reasons behind it. students, due to that loss of biodiversity, now a lots of natural calamities like earthquake, flood, volcanic eruption, forest fire, drought, and many other damages are occurring in our environment, and which is the reason or cause behind the damage to the floras and faunas of earth. So it is bringing a change in the environment as well as in the biodiversity of the respective affected regions. Even due to that diversity, now many species are into the categories of the finishing level. So that categories are the endangered species, vulnerable species, and the rare species. Now let's see what is the meaning of endangered, vulnerable, and the rare species, and which one floras and faunas are coming under that group. As I told you, the human greed and the natural calamities are the reason behind the extinction or endanger of the animal species. The reason behind the extinction of these species are largely unknown. Although a number of hypotheses have been suggested, including the inhabitants to compete well with other species like livestock and other things are there for food, infections, and diseases caught from domestic livestock, poaching, infertility, and inbreeding problems, and the climatic conditions, due to which these species are going to be endangered. Now, the IUCN published information about the endangered species worldwide as the red list of threatened species. Few famous or few known species are Bengal tiger, Asiatic lion, snow leopard, black buck, red panda, one-horned rhinoceros, the Nilgiri thar, Kashmir red stag, lion-tailed macaque, and the Indian bisons are few endangered species out of all the species. Now, vulnerable species. Vulnerability is mainly caused by habitat loss or destruction. A vulnerable species is one which has been categorized by the International Union for Conservation of Nature as likely to become endangered unless the circumstances threatening its survival. If we can protect them, so it can be saved because its population is now decreased. So if the work can be done on the increasing of the population on the vulnerable species, so it can become into the common floras and faunas. The species which are vulnerable, these are the African bush, American paddlefish, common cap, clouded leopard, cheetah, Far Eastern curlew, blue-eyed cockatoo, and the golden hamster. Now students, if we talk about the rare species, the population of this species is a very small amount, or we can say only in the numbers. Even we can count in them in fingers as well. So these species are known as the rare species. They are confined to limited areas, because if they migrate from one place to another place, so might be it will be cause of their death. So due to which they are not migrating, and many other genetic regions are there in that species, due to which they can't survive now in the modern world, and now they are about to rare species. Even the government of India passed the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, under which the national parks and the sanctuaries were created. There are 66 national parks and around 368 sanctuaries in India. Steps have been taken also to conserve forest, and the government of India signed the Conservation of Biodiversity of Earth Summit in 1992. So let's see what is the conservation of biodiversity. The goal of conservation strategy must be to ensure that evolution continues, allowing natural forces to maintain and evolve species. This will maintain genes, pools, and retain genetic trails that may prove valuable in the future, through which the loss of biodiversity can be stopped and it can be conserved. The conservation of biodiversity is to protect species and to prevent rare one from extinct. To protect and conserve the different species, many national parks and sanctuaries are also formed in our country. The national parks preserved area meant for preserving its natural vegetation, wildlife and the natural beauty. At present, there are 66 national parks. Example, Kanjiranga in Assam is a national park of rhinoceros. Here are a list of more national parks. Now, second is the sanctuary. The sanctuary is a reserved area meant for preservation and development of endangered species. At present, there are 368 sanctuaries covering 4.5% of total geographical area of the country. Bharatpur is a bird sanctuary, and here is a list of more sanctuaries. Students, if we want to conserve the biodiversity, so first we have to stop the exploitation of forest and to conserve the forest by doing the afforestation. The conservation of biodiversity can be done in many manners. The Government of India, along with 155 other nations, has signed the Convention of Biodiversity at the Earth Summit, which was held at Rio de Janeiro in 1992. The World Conservation Strategy has suggested the few steps for the biodiversity of the conservation. Number 1. Effort should be made to preserve species that are endangered. Number 2. Prevention of extinction requires proper planning and management. Number 3. Variety of food crops and forage plants, timbers, trees should be preserved. Number 4. Each country should identify habitats of world relatives and ensure their protection. Number 5. Habitats where species feed, breed, and nurse their young ones should be safeguarded and protected. Number 6 is the international trade in wild plants and animals should be regulated. Students, here are some more policies which has been done under the Earth Summit. So students, here the chapter Biodiversity and Conservation is complete. We can produce more ideas to conserve our biodiversity. So what is your idea? You can mention in comment box. For more revision video and updates of geography, keep watching SST June.